All right, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? So yes, we are back on the Avatar Nation channel. I told y'all we be doing that, trying to diversify the content because I know I have different audiences, and stuff like that. Sometimes where we congregate at majorly or majority wise, like okay, we can be expanding our neurons for better things. So yeah. So what's up, Detach? How you doing? Thank you for coming on over. Billy T says, yes, it's good to be back home. What's up, Cheryl, the Spoiler Burnett? Thank y'all for following me over. So pretty much it's just like this is just like the first what's up, Marvelous Me? How you been, girl? Glad to see you back over here. Thank you for following us. Maintaining your subscription. I appreciate that. What's up, Ron P? How you doing? Thank you for maintaining your subscription and following us over here. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Okay, so yes, welcome to Avatar Nation, everyone. So like I said, this is just the first live I'm doing just to use this channel again, just to talk about some real world stuff, to be honest. Um, so that's what I primarily want to do. We'll sprinkle a little bit of tinge of the other area, but the other area is part of Avatar Nation. But I just see like sometimes you just have to split it up. You know what I mean? Treasure Lane did the same thing. Went from Split Boy TV, then went to Treasure Lane because he figured like all people ain't welcome. So that's what or don't get what you're trying to what that area is, because it's definitely a segment. It's definitely how can I say, a niche, to say the least. All right, so let's jump into it real quick. All right, so we had the there's been a lot going on, and it's weird. It's weird, like this whole, how can I say it without saying it, system and power that we have in place and talk about the real world is weird. Like they don't mind trolling the opposition in terms of international people. It, it's just weird. And then they don't mind touting the people who they just pretty much eradicated their whole land. Like you just bomb, I'm sure, their infrastructure. And then like you're gonna like kind of like taunt them a little bit. Like, I expect peace. And if I don't get no peace, then we gonna come hard. Like what? Like there is no, like, I just like, ooh. And then like, don't y'all find it weird that like then they come to the negotiations? Then they agree to it? Like, to me, we see this stuff in the movies, Power, all that stuff that we watch. Like, okay, they agree, but they got something going on, and like they plan to set you up. Like, I don't get it. Then I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's weird. It's just I just feel like they're pushing the boundaries. And in the court, we always look at the Supreme Court as the power, the entity or the tool in place to keep balance. But now they sided with who they. I guess the first time he figured out, if I'm gonna get anything done, then I need to have my own people at the head of these agencies, and that's pretty much what he's doing. Okay, that's pretty much what's going on. Um, Anything else I want to talk about regarding that? No, we shall see. We shall see. It's just very interesting because, I mean, in a way, it's like if he able to flex his power like that, then imagine what all these other nations are saying. Oh my God, he was able to do that, and they gave him a heads up to where they were going to strike. Like, and he got to, now you got to understand, because I told you July 9th is when these tariffs are supposed to come off. Right, July 9th is, sorry, the postponement to the suspension of when he was supposed to hold off on the tariff. July 9th is when they go back into effect. So if those countries don't come back to the table, then what? The tariffs back on, and then he gonna threaten them? Like it's just so much going on. What's up, Vibrant Law? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So I mean, and then didn't they say with China that thing was going to be done in 2 weeks? How long has it been? So it's a lot going on, y'all. It really is a lot going on. I told y'all my theory was that he tried to force the war to get Jerome Powell to cut the interest rate, but they saying that they may cut the interest rate in July. I don't know. They said the labor market is still good. I'm like, okay, do you see all these companies that cutting? Microsoft, Amazon saying they about to do something. Meta said they're doing something. And all these banks are saying they about to do something. 20,000 jobs here, there, everywhere. So, and then on top of that, the cost of the tariffs, the small businesses can't handle that increase, so they got to let go of some people. I don't know. So what's the other thing I want to talk about? So that's it for politics. Let's move over to Diddy. Diddy, I don't like everybody they bringing in has not shown me that they have been forced to do anything. Now you gonna maybe get into the technicality of okay, did he use company resources to obtain the drugs, to do maybe buy the sex workers? I don't know. But from everything I'm hearing, it seemed like everybody was a willing participant. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't approve of anything that happened, especially his control of the women and his use of violence against them. That was wrong. But when you're looking at a jury and they're sitting up there saying, "Did he do this?" I mean, now they're going to say that he was sex trafficking because he knew he was hiring people that were going to engage in those acts and had them fly and transport them across state lines. Then if that's the case, then Tracy is guilty of that too, right? I'm just saying. I'm just correlate. I'm just trying to correlate the two for y'all. So you know, it's just so sad. Like, do these people think they're greater than God, and that's why they're being punished, or having to go through what they're going through? Because Tyler Perry doing the same thing. Tyler Perry, not saying that Tyler Perry thought he was greater than God, but sometimes you move in such a way where you say, I'm unstoppable. So why is this all happening? Did it get too big? I don't. And then I was reading about Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber going through his damn situation, and he had a baby. He just had a baby. So you think something that will renew your focus in life? But they also said Justin Bieber is in tons of debt because he canceled his tour because he was dealing with his own personal ailments and stuff like that. So I don't. It's just sometimes we like, oh, I wish I was rich. Oh, I wish I had this. But I always tell people like, more money, more problems. Like, especially if you deal in a competitive landscape where if you are making that kind of money, you are going to deal in a competitive landscape to some degree. Either somebody going to try to bite into your business or take your business or try to sit up there and just take everything away from you. So I don't know. So that's how I see it. We're going to sports. So football getting ready to start up. So that's something people are looking forward to. Yeah, prayers up for what Justin Bieber's going to. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. That boy should be like Tyler. What's her name? Taylor Swift. Happy and living the life. Well, it seemed like happy and living the life. But you never know. Taylor Swift may not be happy and living the life, but she acting like she is. Money gives them a God complex. Yeah, that's true. But health is wealth, and most of the time, health can't be bought by wealth. So you know. Regarding sports, like I told you, OKC, they won the NBA championship. Oklahoma City Thunder, they beat the Indiana Pacers. So kudos to them. Football season is starting up. I'm looking forward to. So I guess am I looking forward to it? No, I'm looking forward to the football game. I'm looking forward to the football game. Like I told you, Madden 25. I feel Madden in terms of graphics. Madden 2025. I didn't know Madden was that good. I did not know in terms of graphics and presentation and realism like I said, presentation. I didn't know it was that good. I just heard Madden, and Madden can suck, and people will still like it. When I played it, I really enjoyed it and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to see how they're going to do with what they're going to add to it, and they may not add anything to it, but I'm gonna be looking forward to that game. I'll be looking forward to NBA 2K25 to see OKC on the cover. So also, uh, yeah, I don't really follow baseball too much. I don't too much. So all the other sports, you won't hear me talk about too much unless something crazy happens. So what's up, Miss Magnificent? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Rico the Sea says, I love my Bieber, but he definitely needs to relax. He's going through a couple of things. Yeah, and like he married too, so I wonder what his wife is doing, Haley Bieber, what's she up to? So I mean, I'm sure that's got to be a lot for her. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Biggie and women's clothes. Oh no, you talking about okay? You talking about Medea? What's up, Auntie Donna? Thank you for coming on over. Miss Magnificent, I think I said hello to you, but thank you for coming over. Hopefully, okay. So that's what I wanted to say about the sports. Regarding the stock market, I honestly feel I don't know what to feel, y'all. That whole war situation did not go the way I expected it. I expected it to get drawn out, but he handled the situation real quick. So, which the stock market loved, but we still have a lot of situations we got to deal with ourselves. It said, like they said in the summer, they said that unemployment gonna rise, all this stuff. We still got to deal with the tariffs. They, like I said before, they're thinking about moving that. They said emergency cut gonna come in July. I don't know how, but Rump keeps flexing on Jerome Powell. He keep calling the man dumb, stupid, even in which is crazy because even somebody in the Fed told one of the I don't know how they have it. I don't know they call them governors or whatever. No, they call them chair members or whatever. One of the members even said, "Oh, we should be cutting by now. All the other nations around the world are cutting. We should be cutting too." All right, damn, that's the people you go to work with saying that you should cut. So Jerome Powell is just like, no, let's wait, because the worst thing is to cut, and then inflation go back up, and then we have to raise the rates again. And I agree. I mean, I'll be kind of like herky jerky, but I just feel sorry for Jerome Powell because he can't say anything back to the president. That's the part about it. He cannot say, even though the president is dogging him out, calling him stupid, dumb, too late power, all that. He cannot say anything that he's got to maintain his professionalism. And that's just like, wow, shouldn't it be the other way around? So yeah, I don't know. Rico the C says so. The thought is all about Diddy and Tyler. If you need to ask why now, I don't know because I guess it's a momentum. It's a shift. So, but going to the stock news, I mean, you can always gauge where the sentiment is based on looking at crypto. I learned if crypto is dipping, then the sentiment is negative. If crypto is rising, then the sentiment is positive. I feel in the medium term, not short term, not long term, but in the medium term, because when all that stuff was going out with the war, crypto was dropping, and now it's coming back up because they got a resolution. So, so that's what I got to say. So, let me see. Okay. What else I want to talk about? That's pretty much it, y'all. That's pretty much it. If y'all have any ideas or have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them. I told you about my concern about AI. I'm really, really, really concerned about AI. Like as I was driving today, I was saying y'all don't know how many probably graphic artists have been put out the game. Let me say that again. Y'all probably don't know how many graphic artists have been put out the game because of AI. The people, unless they, I don't know, the people in Malaysia and all the, even in the United States, people who went to school for graphic art design. Your degree is useless, pretty much. I hate to say that. Your degree is useless because people are now going to these AI programs and getting made whatever they want, as many revisions as they want, for at most or whatever that program is charging them. That's crazy. So I was sitting back thinking, I'm like, damn. When I was let's just say, Ron P, you've been with me since the beginning. So, and everybody else, Auntie Donna, Detached, Philly T, all y'all been here. So y'all know. I'm gonna tell y'all from that time to this time, I paid graphic artists for my work. But in 2025, do you think I engaged with a graphic artist? Hell no. No, I didn't. So I could just imagine how those people are hurting. I can just imagine. Um, I mean, like, I just hate to say it, like, the turnaround time is instant. Boom, boom, boom. You need this, boom. Change the color, boom. No, it's no like, oh, I didn't mean that, oh, da, 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 and all that. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, and that's just a matter of what, 4 years? 4 years, y'all. 4 years. That's just crazy. And then on top of that, I think YouTube gave me something like, well, they gave me nothing, but they just helped. They told me to celebrate. Well, we got 3K on the other channel that we have not celebrated. So that's something we got to do on the other channel over there. It's a 3K. But then they told me something about being on YouTube for 5 years. 5 years anniversary or something like that. I was like, wow. So, but that's just, I mean, I could just imagine what else. Like, look at all those people, resume writers. You don't need a resume writer no more. Those people who were making money, writing other people's papers, they put out of business. It's just insane. Like, I mean, I guess you just gotta improvise and do something else, right? You gotta find something else to make up for that. Because you look stupid right now charging somebody for a graphic, like, and they can do it on their own if they know how to do it. Some people don't know how to do it. And you know who I feel, who I feel bad for. I feel bad for the elderly. I feel bad for the elderly. Like, they came up in a generation of writing paper checks. I think I read somewhere today, either in September, August, sorry, October, September, sorry, excuse me, August, September, October of this year, the government is phasing out accepting paper checks, receiving paper checks. Everything's got to be done electronically. So I feel like, yo, if you're an older person, you got to be connected to somebody who's younger. You got to be. You got to. And when I say older, I mean, like, 75, 80, something like that. Maybe, no, maybe 60 shit. You got to be. Because you will get left motherfucking behind. You will get left behind. And I hate to say that. Like, the government ain't taking no paper checks. That's how they grew up, with always on paper checks. And now you said now they gotta have, like, what drives old people crazy is the password shit. I don't remember my password. What you mean my password? Email address. I don't remember no damn email address. What? What? I got crazy. Crazy. So this world is moving at lightning speed. What was in 5 years ago is out of date now. So that's the crazy thing about this rate of technology that we're moving in. It's just it's like your ass better be aware, or would you get left behind? Like, and it's sad. It's sad. It really is. Like, if you didn't grow up with technology, you sad. Like, I saw some. I said, what was that? I was somewhere the other day, and I saw a woman, older woman on her cell phone. I said, thank God she know how to text. Thank God she know how to text, because she would be out of luck. She ain't nobody who mailing cards to people. So I agree it's been around for years, but I feel like it's something that's caused it to speed up, the movement to speed up. Currency is next. It's not going to be worth anything soon. Oh, I believe you. I believe you. It's already moving. They're already putting stuff in place. They're already putting stuff in place. I think at the end of July, and then there's another. I got this whole thing like Instagram. It got this whole breakdown of when like the financial system, when they're moving to digital. Like they moving to digital because things settle faster. It's just like they're moving on to the next. And what we don't understand is it's becoming more global. It already was, but in terms of currency, it's gonna be global. Like it's gonna be one currency. It ain't gonna be no dollar. It ain't gonna be no coin. It's gonna be one currency, and that's it. Because these countries are tired of losing out value, or even if you were to do exchange fee. That's why I tell y'all I don't believe in Bitcoin is going to be the currency of the future. I just don't. Because imagine, I would just tell you, if y'all had an experiment, if y'all had $5, I don't know if they'll let you transfer $5, but if you had money to just learn, try to buy, try to buy Bitcoin and see how long takes to settle, and see how long, and see how much the processing fee is. You're not going to tell me that if I'm trying to make $1 million transaction and time is of the essence, that I'm going to waste that much time to get that process, and then on top of that lose that much money in processing fee for me to get that. You can't tell me that. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So I know I'm right now, Bitcoin is a thing, but it just takes too much time. And the processing, like I forget what they call it, they have a certain term, but the processing fee, like if I say I want 100 Bitcoin, you only giving me 92 because 8 of it you took away in fees. No, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So I just feel like right now Bitcoin is where it's being pegged to the gold. That's going to soon be replaced by something else because we can't have that. And I tell you, if you got $5 to throw away, y'all throw $5 away on soda and candy and hamburgers. For your, I did this myself for own education. I ain't never bought Bitcoin before. You know about Bitcoin? Yeah, okay. I bought Bitcoin, but I didn't pay attention to it because I didn't study it. So I wanted to study it. And when I studied it, I bought Bitcoin. When I say when I bought Bitcoin, I'm not talking about $100,000. So get that out of y'all head. I'm talking about you could buy it in partial shares. So I bought Bitcoin for like $20, partial share. And I wanted to see how long it took because that was the knock on Bitcoin when I was studying it. It takes too long to process. And then it's too expensive, like the fees. It takes too much. It takes too much away from your total purchase. And sure enough, I was like, nope, no, 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 no. That's not gonna work. So for right now, yeah, it'll work, but that's not. I don't think Bitcoin is the. Now they said Bitcoin is gonna go up to 2 million and a million. Okay, I'll believe that, but I don't think that's going to be the currency of the future. Like just like gold, everything is pegged to the gold. Like they said, our dollar is pegged to the gold. How much we have in the Federal Reserve or something. I may be wrong. I don't understand it. But do you see us running around with gold in our pocket? No, no. So that's the same thing they're saying with Bitcoin. It's just that's what it's going to be. So yeah. Um. So just be prepared for that. I was telling Kino about Circle, the stable coin. Y'all look at that. That's those people just had an IPO. And a lot of those employees sold out, which they did the right thing based on the history of an IPO, but they wish they did because that bad boy started at $31. That thing was at $270 today in a matter of 2 weeks. So, what's up, Urban? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Um, so that's insane. So a lot of stuff is moving over to the crypto side, but you have to find out what's being used, like the stuff that's necessary, not that meme coin stuff. Be careful of that meme coin stuff, like the fart coin and the bean coin and the vine coin. Be careful of that stuff, but stuff that's actually going to be utilized for our future currency. Look at that and then make your own decision. Um, so that's pretty much what I have to say regarding that. Don't be the last to the party. That's what I also want to say. Don't be last to the party. AI is your friend. Don't believe that AI. Well, no, it ain't. But don't believe everything that AI say. Do your own independent research because AI will come behind you and say, "Oh, if you challenge AI will be like, you know what, you are right. I failed to put that or consider that in my response to you. But now that you mentioned that, I have incorporated it in, and now that does make sense." So just don't honestly says don't get left behind. It can become overwhelming because you're trying to figure out who to believe and what to believe, but stay informed. That's all I can say is just stay informed, stay abreast of what's going on and all that. So and never expect. How can I say this? Never expect. Always take into account the unexpected. That's what I'll say. Always take into account like the whole situation with the war today. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Iran to come back and be like, okay, we're going to the peace. Like what? Like I was just like, no, I just didn't expect that because because I don't know. I just didn't expect that. And then on top of that, it's like Iran complied, but they got clowned. If you listen to that, if you've been following it, Iran complied and then got clowned and then got snitched on at the same time. It said, "Oh, thank you for the tip." It's like what happened seems to me like Ron P and I are in a situation. I'm the bigger person. Ron P don't want to look weak to his buddies. So Ron P said, "Okay, I'm a come. I'm coming over at 3 o'clock at your house to get my get back. Make sure you're not there." Ron P come over, bang on the door, bust out a couple windows, and run away. I come back, tell everybody, "Oh, thank you, Ron P, for the heads up. Let me know you was coming at 3 o'clock. But since you only knocked out a couple of windows and then dealt with the house, I'm gonna let you go. But I expect you to be at the negotiation table tomorrow at 12." And I'm telling this to the whole neighborhood. What? Like, come on, man. I ain't never seen. I don't know. I can't believe that even happened. Anyway, I expected it when Iran tweeted we have a surprise for the U.S. A surprise to comply. Um. Okay. Let's see. Try. Let's see if it worked. Urban. Um. All right. I posted it. Let's see. Yeah, Ron P. It's something else. It's so like unpresidential though. The presidency used to be something of like class, sophistication. Just just being elegant. Not This we up here trolling. We up here trolling on social media. I was like, wow, calling people like stupid and dumb. Like I was just like, oh, I was just like, wow. What's up, Urban? How you doing?
Shout out to the nation.
Yes, true. How you doing?
All right, all right. This is where it all began.
Very true. So true.
Yeah,
Was
d-
anything
during the
you wanna?
pandemic when
Yeah.
everybody was at home. I had
Mm,
what a beef sector was, or Booster King was, or anything like that. Everybody was home and everybody was online, and
yeah.
somehow the dots connected, and I popped up on your show. Everybody was like, "Who sent you? What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah. That's true. That was the common phrase everywhere. You know.
They was like, "Sir King went and got this guy from somewhere." He was like, "I don't know him."
That yeah. They always think that. That's so
Yeah.
true.
uh, and that was the beginning of history. So we had a lot of great times in those
I
days
agree.
during that era. What's going on to the chat, everybody out there in the nation? Ron Peasy, Auntie Donna. Let me see if I can look at the chat. I don't usually look at it. Let's see who's out there. I am I am off for the rest of the weekend. Okay, so I am
Okay.
I'm out of town doing some military related business. I'm off of my corporate job, but I'm doing some military related stuff. So chilling in a hotel, and I thought I'd pop in on you. Let me see
Well,
if
I
I can,
appreciate it. Thank you.
see if I can see the comments. Okay.
We just finished the live on the other channel, so I just wanted to come through over here and just do some commentary about some real world stuff, and then
Exactly. There's a
you
lot going on. Sometimes I feel like the people in the beef sector, you know, missiles will be flying, in America, bombs dropping on U.S. soil, and they'll be
mm,
knee deep in the beef sector, you know,
yeah,
arguing and fighting on the panel. All of a sudden, your ceiling caves in.
uh-huh. Yeah, and no, I think they still be out here until doing it until it happens to them, like you said, until their ceiling caves in.
Right,
So
until the end.
yeah,
So with social media, man, it's very easy to get wrapped up into it. I think it's interesting that you opened up the Avatar Nation channel, because I remember a lot of the conversations we had. We had a very specific conversation where I said that social media was using behavioral research scientists to make social media addictive. This was
mhm,
years ago, and I said they're following the business model of the gambling industry, the online gambling industry. And lo and behold, you can Google this right now. There's a major class action lawsuit
mm,
against social media platforms. It's against multiple ones, but the largest one right now is against IG,
woo,
saying that they intentionally made social media addictive. They knew it from the very beginning, and that there's irreparable damage that's been done, especially to children's minds, because
mhm,
children's minds are still being developed,
yeah,
right? They believe in a lot of fantasy. They don't know what's real. They only know what they're being told.
right.
And there's been a lot of irreparable damage, but there's a major class action lawsuit right now. And I said that years ago, um, that we were headed in that direction, and here we are. And we've had a lot of children being raised while the parents are at home, social
Hmm.
media and the step parent, and raising this generation's children, and that's the wrong that's the wrong avenue for sure. Um, our enemies, talking about this war, our enemies have planned to destroy America with from the inside, knowing that
Hmm.
most powerful military, so obviously they can't destroy us that way. But we're talking about Russia, we're talking about the Middle East, we're talking about China. They have been looking to subvert our culture, and a lot of these things that we have going on now, they were behind the scenes, and particularly social media. China, you should read the China Manifesto about destroying America from the inside, destroying America, morally, destroying the morals, destroying the family unit. And here we are, in the middle of all this. We have a destroyed family unit. Marriage is way down. Divorce is really high. Children are addicted to their cell phones. Parents gotta, you can't get your cell phone out of your child's hand.
Hmm.
And here we
Right.
are. Here we are. We're right in the heat of all this. Um, and regarding this war that's going on, I have to measure, the words that I say. Uh, but I think probably the most important thing that I would say is that since our enemies can't attack us, you know, with weapons, right? They don't have the military might to defeat us. They look for other avenues, going back to 9/11, they look for other avenues. And those other avenues are called soft targets. Soft.
Mm-hmm.
So I want your audience to be aware of what a soft target is. Do you know what that is? Does anyone in the audience know what a soft target is?
Yeah, it's like a place that's not like guarded like a national monument, like maybe like a mall
Hmm.
or a arena or something like that.
Right. Bingo. Bingo. Exactly. And so those are the areas that they're going to hit us at, are the soft targets. We have a shopping culture. That's our weak spot. They're looking at our weak spots. Our weak spots is we shop like crazy. We're always in the mall. We're always on the go. Our transportation systems, the Greyhound bus, the local subways, all these things are soft targets. This is where they're going to try to hit us. And already documented, our enemies have established what they call sleeper cells.
Mm-hmm.
The people that have been in the U.S. for a long time, waiting to get the word to take some action in the U.S. Now, our intelligence services are good; they're brilliant, and they weed out these sleeper cells and things like that. But we can't get them all. So you've got to be your own police. You're responsible for your family and for your loved ones. You
But I
know,
was thinking about that because I was listening to them saying it on the news, but I was just like, how do they get word? Because it was weird. The guy was like, oh, the guy, I guess the supreme leader was saying an incoherent mess. Like, I would they call it some incoherent message or something he was saying or left. But like, how would they get word like to do what they have to do if they're here
how would they get word regarding
to activate that?
to activate? Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I mean, I can give you some what they call intelligence parlance, some ways, but it's very simple things like putting an X on a mailbox or putting an article in a newspaper. These are things that are planned in advance. It'll be something benign like I got 5 cats for sale, right? And something benign like that. Five white cats for sale. That's the message to, and they'll put it in, let's say, all the major U.S. cities or one particular city. But that's the notification to activate. Um, the all of our intelligence services are connected via the embassies. So whatever city that you're in, whatever embassies are there, you have a lot of networks, a lot of foreign intelligence networks that come from these different embassies. So they have messages that they plan well in advance, something benign, like I said, like an article in the newspaper about something like selling cats, or I got a size 12 shoe I want to sell,
Mm-hmm.
um, or leaving marks and things like that, like putting an X on the back of a stop sign, or these are called drop spots. But So that's the way they send messages. It's something that doesn't involve electronic communication. It's already planned well in advance, years in advance. Here's what we're going to do. Electronic communication is always going to fail you every single time. Our own government at the highest levels, when we need to put out extremely sensitive information. We don't use electronic communication. So, um, but for family, for those of you who have families and loved ones that you're concerned about, be aware of soft targets and how you move. We should have been moving differently a long time ago. Um, if you notice, social media makes you more distant, right? It makes people colder. It makes people dumber, right? People don't even know how to spell these days because of what? Spell check, the automatic spell correction. And so what happens now, thanks to China and TikTok and all these social media apps, um, these things that they put into the American system to kind of, disrupt us from inside, the Trojan horse, if you will. Um, we've been dumbed down. We're not aware of what the heck is going on. We're
Mhm.
looking at our cell phones. We're not paying attention to what's going on. And when you're out in public, you should be paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah.
give you guys some tips, like when you're in a shopping mall, let me see if anybody in the audience knows if you know, Sir King. If you're walking in a shopping mall with your family, this is military training, and I've said this on your platform way back during the pandemic. Some people may remember, but if you're walking in the mall with your family, where should you and your family be walking?
Where we should be walking.
So you're just walking down the mall like everybody else. You're just walking
Mhm.
along. But where should you position yourself and your family in terms of the crowd? Where should you position yourself and
So
your
position yourself to the closest to the wall.
family?
Because if you got to turn into a store, if something breaks out, you can turn. You ain't got to go through nobody or get
Bingo.
caught up.
Now, was that your own thought process, or do you remember me mentioning that before on your platform?
That's when you just thinking about how without. I mean, just a scenario. You know.
Yes, you should walk closest to the wall. So when you're out and about shopping with your family, you should be walking closest to the stores. When I say the wall, I'm talking about the store entrances because if something crazy happens, you could run into the store. All those mall stores have an exit in the back behind the counter. If something crazy is going on, you run, jump, dive over that counter, and you hit the emergency escape. Regardless of the salespeople saying, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, there's
Mhm.
shoot bomb or something blew up." You want to hit that back exit behind the sales counter. That's the emergency exit. That's your exit to get the heck up out of there. But yeah, if you're walking closest to the stores, and you can make a quick dash to protect your family, right? You can make a quick exit. Always park so that you can escape quickly. These are things that take planning, and this is something that's inherent. Once you receive military training, these are things that you just do automatically. But for civilians and for regular people, they don't think this way. You're going to the mall, you're thinking about what you need to buy, you're thinking about what clothes your kids need, what school supplies you need, you're thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner, you're thinking about, what you're going to do for the weekend. And we don't think of ourselves as targets. But as we move into this new era that we're moving into, American American culture is increasingly targeted, and we have a lot of enemies. And depending on diplomacy and what kind of president we have, there's some clear and present danger. So you are responsible for your family and your loved ones. You've got to take charge. You can't depend on the National Guard, the U.S. Army, the president. You're the first line of defense, and you've got to learn what you need to do to take care of your family.
Mhm.
And so, yes, you should be aware of what's going on in public. When you're out and about with your family, especially in a climate like this where we have a war going on, particularly in a climate like this where we have worldwide wars going on right now. Where we're making a lot of enemies. So be paying attention because that's where our enemies are going to strike. Even though someone says that they're going to, we're going to negotiate a peace treaty and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I said this before on your platform. Even in a time of peace, even in a time of peace, there is always an intelligence war going on.
Mhm.
And that is a separate matter. So you can say one thing, right? Like they talked about Putin shaking hand, working on a peace deal, but at the same time he was bombing, dropping bombs.
Mhm.
So um, when you see information on the news, realize that these are corporations and these are businesses and that they have agendas. That's why, I like international media because you can get bits and pieces of information from all over the world and, get a better picture of what's going on. American media is censored. It's corporate media. There's a monopoly. You'll see the same news story in every single channel, just slightly worded differently.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, but I'm not trying to scare people. What I want people to do is to be aware. Is to be aware, and in such a time as this, to be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the times that we live in. Be prayerful. Uh, the Bible says, pray as if in speaking." What that means is pray all the time. Right? A prayer should always be on your tongue. It's just driving to work, going to the grocery
Hmm.
store. Father, I thank you for the money this month to cover my grocery bill. Asking the Lord for guidance and wisdom, especially in times like this.
I agree. I agree. I also want to ask you this question. As I was thinking about you when I heard this. When he said, we gonna speak in code, but when he said that he knew where the supreme leader was and he gonna take him out. And I was like, man, even though you can say it, you shouldn't be saying that. Like, that's
Hmm.
bold. Like that's not the way you communicate, especially when you're talking about taking somebody out. Like,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You have to measure. You know, I'm not. I'm not really. I can't really criticize the president because of the nature of my work, but um, what I can say is that what I've said before is that he just doesn't have some military background. There's no political background, so he's still green and he's still learning. You know, and there's a lot to learn in that. Imagine having that job, right? Imagining being the president.
But
Not just the
Urban,
president of the United
Urban,
States.
I ain't got that kind of experience, and I know from the streets you just don't be tagging nobody as nobody like that. You don't be putting claim on nobody's life like you God, and you
Right.
can snap a finger and they bye bye. It's just because I just feel like you rallying up their side. You know,
Hmm.
so,
Yeah. Diplomacy, man, is it's tough work. Like I said, imagine yourself being the president of the. Imagine you being given that job. You wake up tomorrow morning and for some bizarre reason you're sitting behind the president's desk and you are the president.
but it's
And the
like
national command authority walks in your office and says, "Sir, we got to have an intelligence briefing." That's what's called the daily
That
president.
that's cool. That's cool, Urban. That's cool. That's what you signed up for. But to come out publicly and say I can take you out, I know where you are.
Uh,
I was like, you. It's like things you don't. There's things you just don't say.
yeah, my response to that is, like I'm saying, is that diplomacy takes years and years and years um, of experience. You don't
No,
become
well, he
diplomat.
had 4 years. He had 4 years already.
It takes a lot longer than that. He
Obama got it.
no, he hired people. He brought people in, and that's remember
But
I always say there's a president, and there's the office of the president.
right,
The
but
office is like everyone outside that works for him.
but Urban, I think you missing what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I just have to be careful about. I can't.
You just don't say I'm gonna take you out, and I know where you are, and put it
Mhm.
on public broadcast for the world to see.
I get
It's,
you.
yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming from. You're talking
especially when the act of aggression wasn't toward. I mean, it wasn't towards us at that time.
right. You're talking about the appearance of not being presidential, right? And so I
I just
mentioned.
can't say to you, Urban, I'm gonna take you. Like, hold on, 1 second. I cannot put this on Avatar Nation Social. Hold on. Okay, wait, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Do you want to see Israel destroyed? Yeah. 1 second. I know you can't say certain things. So I'm gonna try to find it. Hold on. They just got so many like. Ooh, okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, so this was before the tips. Let's see.
I know where you're going though. It's like in sports, you don't telegraph your moves. And
Well,
as
you
a
should so basically what I'm saying is you don't say that you have the right to take another man's life.
yeah, hmm I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not gonna bring you into it, but he was just pretty much to me, he's like saying he God.
hmm
Like I can determine if you live or you die right now. I know where you at.
hmm
And I know
hmm
what you're doing. So I was like,
Yeah,
damn, okay.
yeah. We've got some pretty amazing technology. We've got some pretty amazing technology. If you look at our wars right now, we're using drones. In a large part of warfare. These are robotic drones.
Mm,
This is modern warfare. The military is uh, was on to most technology comes from the military. Like Facebook was a military messaging system before it became Facebook. A lot of people don't know that, but it was a way that the military communicated worldwide. um, and Facebook borrowed the idea and civilianized it. But a lot of technology comes down from the military. But the military's been using AI before it became a public thing. And so this whole for example we've been using drones you know back before Obama we were using drones, and now drone technology, we go back to the Bush presidency, um, and look at how far we've come now, when it comes to drone technology and robotic technology. This is the future. Our future is accelerated dramatically because of technology. We're in a technological era. We're in a technological um, renaissance, and time is sped up for us more so than any other generation previously. Time is sped up for us. Look how quickly time goes by, um, and we're getting dumber because of technology. But as humans, we need to use our brain. You need to think. You need to know how to spell. I have a friend that did an interview with IBM, and they gave him a computer that wasn't connected to the internet, that didn't have any software on it. They asked him to write a 3-page report on this particular type of IT that he was supposed to be an expert in. And they gave him a scenario. They said, here's the scenario. I want you to write a reaction. I want you to write, it's called a white paper. We want you to write a white paper on how you would solve this issue. And when he went to do it, he was like, man, wait a minute, spell check, not
mm,
connected to the internet. There's no, there was nothing on there. There was nothing. And it threw him for a loop. He did not get the job. But that's how dependent we've become on technology. And it makes us weaker. But what we should be doing is trying to hold on to, you know, the basic values of what makes us, human, you know, what of how we were successful prior to technology. Because when we start losing them, we just become so weak that Uh, we can't be successful. We can't move forward in life. Like so many people now, in a position. You were about to say something. Go ahead, second.
No, no, I'm listening to you.
Like right now, if you don't have a technology job, well, let me give you an example. There may be some people in the audience that are project managers, and you may be aware of all this AI project management software that's coming out. But a lot of stuff um, is being eliminated
Mm-hmm.
in the office, in the corporate office, via you know AI can do it, right? If you go on my page, there's a playlist where it's called Global News, and I have there's her name's Cody Sanchez. He's a former Wall Street analyst who just left Wall Street and decided to teach people how to make money. She teaches people how to make money even if you don't have a lot of money, a couple $100. But go on my playlist and look at the global news and go down to the bottom. You'll see a link where Cody Sanchez talks about how she used AI software to make $1,000 in just a couple hours, just by asking a bunch of questions. How can I make some money today? Da, 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 da,
Don't tell them that over here. I'm Don't tell them, boy. Your page gonna be popping. Urban gonna be the new favorite content creator. Watch.
So make sure you to take a look at that. Her name's Cody Sanchez. I highly recommend Cody Sanchez. One of my favorite um, money matters tutor. There's a lot of good information on her page. Um, but AI can be useful, and so while you're able to do it, you know, it's as it's escalating. There's a paid level of AI that's much more advanced than what you use now. If you notice now, when you use AI, you've got to fact check it all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
constantly fact check it and make sure that the information you're getting is correct. There's paid levels of AI that are much more advanced, where you can just kind of sit in your house on your couch, put your feet up, and just talk to it and say, "Hey, look, what's going on with the stock market today? Move some money around for me," and it'll start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't fall behind. Don't fall behind. Oftentimes we're the last in our community, the African American community. We're the last to know what's going on technology wise. So use the AI tools to progress your life, uh, and don't go backwards. Don't go backwards. Use the tools that are available, and think like businesses think. That's why, like, I love Bloomberg and I love the Wall Street Journal, but Bloomberg has a channel called Bloomberg Originals. Bloomberg Originals. It's on my playlist on my channel. Bloomberg Originals is always talking about businesses that people are developing. We're talking innovation, going along with technology. What's new? What's new? What's new? What's new? This will give you ideas, because moving forward, you're not going to be able to depend on a job. At some point, the government's going to have to cut a check to everybody.
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
like
That's what I'm saying.
like a social
Universal
services check for the
right?
bare minimum.
Universal income. They said it
Yeah.
has to be universal income. You have to, because the man even said, Jazzy at Amazon. He's like, I'm telling you now, we're gonna use these robots to be a majority of our workforce. And they said that the government has to get prepared to have the unemployment rate at 20%. So because all these companies are going to start incorporating it. So 20%
Mhm.
unemployment rate when it's currently 4%. That's a 16% increase, and they're talking. You said within
Have-
5 years or something. I don't know.
mhm. Now, do you know about they keep pushing this back. Do you know about our government's version of Bitcoin?
Our
Our,
government's versions of
our government's version of digital currency. Let me put it that way. It's
yeah,
called
what is it?
CBDC. It's called CBDC, which
Mm-hmm.
stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. They were supposed to implement this a few years ago. They
Hmm.
keep pushing it back, but that will wipe out the dollar. The new dollar bill, there won't be a dollar bill. It'll be this digital currency.
Yeah,
They keep pushing it back. So it's falling out of the attention span of of society because they pushed it back so many times. People have forgotten about it, but they've
with,
already developed it. They're just trying to figure out when should we launch it.
with the ISO 22.2 or something like that, it's coming into play in November. It's supposed to be launched in March, but that's where that digital stuff is a certain select. I forget what they call them, but it's only going to understand certain languages from a
Hmm.
banking standpoint. So that might be one, but I mean, how are you going to incorporate that, implement that amongst the masses to use? That's what I don't understand. Once you get that, it's a wrap. Because now people be forced to use it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the reason why they keep pushing it back as they're trying to work out the kinks. And most of the time when the government launches something, there's a lot of errors and complications, and so because it's so critical, to our infrastructure and to the global infrastructure, because once we slide over to digital currency, that's the American dollar rules the world, which that's changing. The American dollar. When I first came on your platform talking about the petrodollar and oil is bought and oil is purchased and exchanged in US dollars, all that stuff is starting to change. And now with this whole Iran situation, they're talking about cutting off access. That's their biggest weapon. Their biggest weapon is cutting off access to oil. And what they've said is that we're cutting off the strait, so that which would diminish the world's oil supply dramatically. That's the strongest, which would mean that you would go to the gas station and gas prices wouldn't be up a couple of dollars. Gas prices would be up something like $10, $15. So
What was this
instead of
within?
$3 a gallon, $20 a gallon.
What was this? That was just then push the EV mandate, right?
Hmm. Yeah, we've been trying to get ahead of these things, um, but it's been slow. It takes time to develop these things, especially when you're talking about government bureaucracy. That's why Trump liked having Elon around, because he's already forward thinking. He's already thinking about the future. I listened to a speech Elon Musk did where he said that the Earth is not sustainable. The way we're living right now on planet Earth is not sustainable, and we're going to have to find another place to go to survive as humans. We gotta find another planet. We gotta do it, and he's at the forefront of that.
But did you hear that? I just briefly saw this article. I didn't read it, but they said that space station. I think it might have been Chinese space station brought back some bacteria from Mars or something, and they
I,
weren't supposed to.
I didn't hear
So
that.
you really did.
Oh, really?
You said you did hear it, or you,
No,
oh
no, no. I said I didn't. I didn't hear that. I did not.
yeah. So I don't know if what happened with the bacteria. It wasn't something that was planned, but
Hmm.
somehow it's on their space station and they don't know what to do. So those people are going to be allowed to come back, or they just out because they don't know what the bacteria is capable of doing.
Yeah, that
So
that sounds like a science fiction movie,
I don't know.
right? You bring something back, some type of bacteria that once it hits the Earth's air, transforms into some gigantic amoeba that starts eating everybody.
Yeah, and we don't have a cure for it. Yeah, yeah.
Right, introducing diseases. Yeah, that's a real life thing. Just in traveling from nation to nation, from country to country. Transporting diseases. That's how COVID came from China. That's how easy it is to transport a disease is jumping on a plane, right? You're
Mhm.
infected with something that nobody knows about. A lot of our infections in culture, I don't know if people know this, we have some medical people in the audience, but a lot of our infections come from animals jumping over that line, passing over from animals to humans, uh, and then it wreaks havoc on us as humans. So when those things like that happen, and somebody jumps on a plane, like, and hits the airport in New York, And from the moment they got on that plane, people are infected, and then they start walking around, and other people are infected, and look how quickly COVID spread. Look at the numbers of how many people died of COVID. Look how quickly it spread from one person that got on a plane,
Mm-hmm.
had some weird virus, one person. Look how quickly that devastated. They shut the whole country down.
Hmm.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, we don't know what's going on up there in space. Whatever it is, China needs to leave it up there.
Yeah, I want to know how the heck they even. They probably, we know they probably jumped on, walking on the planet and brought it in with them. I don't.
Yeah, that could be devastating. Um, China has been the conduit for a lot of disease. A lot of stuff has come out of that area. Just pretty much go down the whole list: avian flu, mad cow disease, hoof and mouth disease.
It seems like they don't have that attention to detail when it comes to safety,
Yeah, hmm
safety standards.
that's true. Right? They don't. Let me tell you, when I was in. Let me tell you something, Sir King. When I was stationed in Korea, my first Asian, my first Asian assignment. Now, I'd been deployed to Thailand for military exercises, but permanent, what they call permanent duty, permanently stationed someplace. Not an exercise, but this is where I'm going to be working for the next couple of years. I first went to Korea. I remember going out downtown Korea. It's a place called Itaewon. I was down there and I ordered. I went into a little restaurant. I ordered what's called bulgogi, which is beef and rice, and throw some egg and cheese in there, and it's good, especially if you're drunk.
Mm.
So I ordered some bulgogi. And I'm sitting down at like a little bar. It was a bar slash restaurant. And all of a sudden I see roaches running around.
Mm.
Like, what the? I was like, wait a minute. Are those roaches? And the women that were working behind the bar, they're just talking and stuff, and socializing with the customers. And roaches are running right in front of them,
Oh
running
yeah.
right over their arms, over their hands.
Uh-uh, uh-uh.
And I was like,
No.
I pushed my food, away from me towards the bartenders and stuff. I pushed my drink towards them, and I was like, "You don't see these roaches running around on the counter?" And the bartender that was been serving me was like, "Oh yeah, the little bug. Yeah, it's no problem, no problem, just a bug."
We friends. No, no.
We look at things differently. Like in America, when you see a roach, you're absolutely disgusted, and you're like, there, if a roach falls on the food, they just cook it up and you know,
What?
oops, it slipped in the food. No big deal.
Oh hell
So
no.
yeah, it's different standards. Just when it comes to the health and safety standards, there's different
So
standards for sure.
sound like Jay Wilson house. I don't know, but anyway. Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. I think I always say we caught an alien or something, and they share some of their technology with us, and that's how we've been able to speed up. This ain't making no sense. So
yeah, I mean the whole, we continue to wash your hands, and I still use the since back in the pandemic, the gel antibacteria hand
mm,
wash and the gels. I still use that stuff, man, because I mean there's one particular I haven't seen a lot people in the media focusing on it, but this whole flesh eating disease, this whole flesh eating bacteria that killed a rapper, not killed him, but was eating away his face, and he committed
yeah.
suicide. I forgot what his name was.
Was he famous?
He was a famous rapper. He had a song called Bicth, Bicth. You guessed it.
Oh, I
The
don't
song
know.
was called Bicth. You guessed it. He was a very popular rapper that committed suicide a couple of years ago. But somewhere in his travels, he picked up this flesh-eating bacteria that was eating his face, and he committed suicide.
Did he say where he got it from? Mhm.
He doesn't know where he got it from. He was traveling internationally, performing as a rapper.
Mhm.
I'll give you his name. Let me Google it real quick. but he committed suicide a couple of years ago. There was no cure for that flesh-eating bacteria. So OG Mako, OG MACO,
OG Mako.
OG space MACO. Committed suicide a couple of years ago. But if you Google OG Mako flesh-eating disease, you'll see pictures of his face being ate away by this bizarre bacteria.
Mm.
You see it?
Yeah.
You see his face?
Uh-oh.
Google
Yeah,
it.
and they said in 2016 he lost his right eye in a car accident.
Yeah, he became depressed
Oh,
after catching that bacteria. But
oh.
Google OG Mako
Watch
flesh-eating
it.
disease
Yeah,
and look at the pictures of his face.
yeah. They call it nocriticizing fasciitis, also known as flesh eating disorder, after being improperly treated for a minor rash, according to Variety and Rolling Stone. The
And I
infection
think, and
caused
I think
significant damage to his scalp. They say he had a minor rash that was not properly treated.
that bacteria that causes that flesh-eating uh, that causes that, where the bacteria actually eats your flesh.
Mm,
Uh, he picked that up from somewhere. It got
yeah.
into his rash. It got
Mhm.
into his rash. He doesn't know where he picked up that bacteria from, but that's been growing. I just read an article the other day about some female, some chick here in America that. So it's been growing. People have been catching this thing. A lot
He
of people
died
catch
the day after
people
Christmas.
catch it in water. A lot of people catch it
Yeah.
in swimming in foreign countries and stuff like that.
And I've been reading that that's like it's highly prevalent in fresh water. When a lot of people go into the lakes, they would, but that's that it would go up their nose into their brain.
Mm,
But it would eat inside, I guess the inside, but not the face. You know what I mean? From the inside, but not what he had the face. But I guess he
mm,
did have it kind of inside because it went into the rash. So
yeah. So sanitize. Keep your hands clean. Your hands are the
mhm.
largest transmitter of weird stuff like that. Keep your hands clean. Keep your nails clean. Keep your kitchen countertops clean. Use bleach. Spend the money for those Clorox wipes.
I
Uh,
agree. No, I agree. Yeah.
that's a tragic thing for him, though. That's like a bizarre, tragic thing to happen. So you look at those pictures of him. That was uh,
Was
him
he
with.
in pain? Was he in pain? I'm sure.
Yeah, he's done some interviews. You can see some of his interviews on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have caught in that. It's just the press isn't publicizing this because they don't want to scare people. But a lot of people, there's no cure for it. They don't know what to do. So
Mm. Yeah, I'm
hey,
looking at his pictures. Like, mm,
yeah, you guys Google that. You guys out there in the audience, Google that and take a look at the pictures so you see what we're talking about.
woo! Stay prayed up and protected.
Yeah, I did not take my butt in all my travels. I have not gotten in the water in any other country. I've been just
Oh,
about everywhere. I sit out on the beach.
not
you
even a
know,
pool. Not even a pool.
pools are fine, pools, jacuzzis, and stuff like that. But getting
Mm,
in waters in foreign countries, and I'll say in Europe, I've done that. But outside of Europe, I have not gotten in the waters of any other country.
mm,
Uh, yeah, I mean, even their water sanitation is horrible over there. I mean, a lot of foreign countries they believe that water is a conduit for trash. So
yeah.
their water systems are infected. You can't drink water. Most places you go when you travel, you can't drink water from the faucet. You can't wash your body with water that comes out of the, you know, shower head. You can't take a bath with that water. It's infected because they've tossed so much sewage and trash in the water, the lakes, the oceans.
It's
Um,
just so insane to me, like how you just that mindset, man. You just gotta break that. Like it's so hard to break that mindset, you know?
yeah, yeah, it is, and it's when you come to the U.S. If you come traveling from one of these countries, you carry your habits with you,
Yeah.
and it's hard to habits are hard to break, man. Most people can't break habits. You're stuck with them. It takes a lot of work to break a habit. You know, from drug addiction to alcohol addiction to whatever. You know, and when people bring culture from other countries, a lot of times they just can't shake those cultural, ideals that they grew up with. That just become a part of them. Like the Muslim fathers, in their country, if your daughter disrespects you, you can beat her. If your wife disrespects you, you can beat her. They have what they call honor. I won't say the word, but honor
Hmm.
getting rid of somebody
Right.
because they disrespected you and your family. They embarrassed you in some kind of way, and they bring those. You can look at news reports. You can bring those things. They bring those things culturally to the U.S. when they enroll their children in American schools and stuff, and their daughters start dating outside of their religious structure,
Mhm.
outside of family values. Um, I want to go back and say that so for people when you're out and about in public, be aware of when you're in very large. I don't take my family to large social events. I don't do that. Uh, I just don't think it's wise. There's no large scale social event. I'm talking about like going to a baseball game or going to a football game or little stuff like little stuff local stuff like little league and stuff like that is fine. But I'm talking about going to some gigantic stadium, you know, things like that. You've got to move differently. Uh, you know,
Well, and also it seems like I know we talk about the soft target, but it also seems like the effect of social media. People want to do something stupid, so they could be there and put it on social media to record it and go viral. And I
hmm
was just like, that's dumb too. So,
yeah. Look at that situation in Vegas. There's sectors like that all throughout YouTube.
mm,
I've researched this whole sector thing. YouTube calls them communities, YouTube communities. But I've looked at this whole sector stuff when I stumbled on the beef sector. From what I can tell, the first one was,
hmm,
on the Caucasian side of the house, right?
right.
What was called Voight, bottom on YouTube. But the beef sector was like one of the beef sector and the black sector were like the original. They were like the originals. And it seemed like from there it just spread like wildfire. And you have these sectors everywhere. And there's a whole bunch of foolishness going on. But the difference between the B sector and all the other sectors is the B sector is profitable, right? There's a built-in audience in the B sector. You can be monetized in a day,
Mm,
in hours. I think Kimmy's page got monetized in 24 hours. Just
mm,
Kimmy.
mm,
That stuff like that happens. If you notice people come over to the B sector all of a sudden they get monetized out of the blue, just like that. That's
mm-hmm,
why all these different sectors are zeroing in
mm-hmm,
the B sector. And I said this years ago during the pandemic that if you don't police yourself, somebody else will. But people are analyzing the B sector and looking to make some money.
mm,
Right? I've seen people copying. I, you tell me if you've seen this, or King. I've seen new people that are emerged in the B sector. I've seen them copying your formula.
oh yeah, oh yeah. That's all they do. That's all they do.
If you look at their previous content, it wasn't. It was they didn't. They weren't doing their content that way. So what they
No.
looked at is okay. Well, who's successful? Lemon's successful. So as the appearance
So,
case. They look at so where was Lemon's origin? Lemon's origin was Avatar Nation. Well, let's go back and take a look at what Sir King was doing.
but see, this is the thing, right? He said that he wouldn't. He didn't. I listen. No matter what they say, oh, I didn't support him. There's various ways to support, right?
Hmm
So just because a person isn't there doesn't mean they're not there. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't have to display myself and put myself on exhibition to show that I'm there. That I prefer to be very clandestine in my support.
Hmm.
So I'm peeking and I'm looking, and he's like, I don't need to do this, and I don't need to do these clips, and I don't need to do this to have it show. And I'm like, oh, okay. So who are you taking shots at?
Right.
But now that's what's being incorporated in the broadcast, including the beginning of the show.
Hmm.
So you know,
And not, yeah, and if you push, that situation to the side, I'm talking about the new people that have come on deck. I can see where they've studied you. I can see where they studied how you run your show with the breaks, where you take a break, commercial break.
mm-hmm,
They weren't doing content like that prior. So I could see where, and this happens a lot, is people will steal your idea. This is social media, right? They'll steal your idea. If you have an idea that's successful, and they do this right here in this sector. They copy people's titles and different things like that, different types of shows that they're doing. But when you get somebody who comes in that's an experience, that's experienced in social media, that's intelligent, that sits back and analyzes the B sector, right? When I first came in, there's software. So there's software that you can use to analyze people who are on social media. It'll tell you how successful they are, what kind of views they got, exactly where the views come from, how long people stay online listening to them, including YouTube. All this stuff is there's proprietary software that you can use to analyze anybody who's got any kind of digital footprint. And so someone from the outside looking at how successful the B sector is, uh, they can say, okay, well, where's the success coming from? Why are they so successful? What kind of audience do they have? So you start analyzing all that. And you look at the top content creators right now. Lemon's the top content creator, right? He's the one that's making all the attention. The B sector is not a lemon sector, right? And so you look at, well, why is he so successful? What's his origin? What's his
that's a good
origin?
point. I never
His
thought of it like
origin,
that.
his origin is Avatar Nation. And so
That's
they
true.
go back and you start watching old. Right, I wasn't old Avatar Nation videos and say, okay, well, who was this guy that's supposed to be his mentor? What was he doing? What made him so special? Right. And so that's how and people do this all throughout YouTube, taking over sectors, taking over audiences. If B-Sector has an audience, that's valuable. The audience that's watching you right now has value. The audience that's all throughout the B sector, all that has value. And so if you're a person that's trying to make money on social media, you say, wait a minute, this B sector, these guys are making a killing. Why are they making so much money? And not saying there's a ton of money that the B sector is making, you
Mhm.
know, in general, people aren't making, the money that they used to make back in the day. But
Yeah.
in terms of support, right?
Mhm.
Because YouTube's changed their whole, you know, wealth sharing. But
Mhm.
in terms of support, you know, the audience is faithful. The audience is generous. You can go from when you look at all these different sectors. You don't find the same generosity. You have large platforms that don't get as much donations as the B sector gets. So it's the
That's true.
audience is valuable. The audience is valuable. Forget monetization and all that other stuff. The audience is valuable because they're donors. They're generous. So look on the outside looking in, like, man, I need to get in there. And I said this way back during the pandemic. I said there's people swimming around the B sector like sharks,
Mhm.
multiple sectors, and they're coming. They're on their way in.
Yeah,
They're headed our
I'm just
way.
laughing thinking about what you said because there's one lady who claimed to have a baby, didn't have a baby, and now reflecting back on what you said, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
hmm that's
And
wild.
so, bingo, here we are. Here we are today,
That's wild.
and to brand new landscape.
That's
And
wild.
when you came on deck, a lot of people used you as a conduit to enter into the B sector because you were friendly, right?
Hmm.
When people dropped down in your chat, you didn't pop them, you didn't block them because you didn't know who they were. So there's a lot of people that passed through your platform that went on to become monetized and became, content creators. And in the same tradition, you see the same thing happening on Lemon's platform. And because he's younger, well, excuse me, perceived to be younger. He has the appearance of being a young, guy in his low 20s, right? That's the perception. So, and he's the perception of being straight, right? And so all of these sharks swimming around the beach are like, oh, hold up, stop swimming. There's some blood. I smell some blood. And they've used lemon as a conduit to enter into the beef sector. Uh, and, here we are. There's nothing wrong with expansion. The beef sector does need to expand for sure, but you need to make sure you're expanding with the right people.
No, I agree with that.
Jay Wilson and all these people from this era, they're up in age. You know, it's gotten stale, it's gotten old. So there definitely needs to be some expansion, but you want to expand strategically. You don't want to bring people in whose sectors failed, who have all kind of investigations following them, who have all kind of angry trolls following them. Like that's not who you want to expand with. And what you're seeing is people that are running away from a whole lot of collateral damage and reemerging. Voila, I'm in the B
Hmm.
sector now.
Yeah. Hmm.
Put my cash app on the screen.
Exactly. Whew, it's crazy. That's why I say more money, more problems with them. Let them have them. To this person, John, I don't know what you're talking about. About no Saucon. I don't know what that is.
I'm
Um,
not reading the chat. What were they saying, Saki?
Avatar, I gotta ask. You're doing Saucon this year. I don't know what that is.
That sounds like some type of convention or something. Some type of social media convention, maybe.
Okay. Uh, all right.
Uh,
That's a
so, well, you got to be careful. I call them sector busters. YouTube has its own jargon and used behind the scenes as far as like this whole stuff that we're talking about right now. But I call them sector busters. But these are people that come from dying sectors, like a black hole, and they're looking for a new. I got to get a new audience. Old audience is gone, right? All types of crazy stuff happened there. People are blocked and shadow banned and can't progress. And the black stars pop up over here. Right? The Death Stars pop up over here, and that's going to continue to follow you no matter where you go. So that Death Star is going to have the same effect over here. That same effect over here would cause your old sector to disintegrate into complete non-functional chaos. You're bringing that with you over here.
crazy.
So guard put your guards up.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
sure.
Jump in.
We got the side eye on everybody.
But like I said, there's nothing wrong with expanding and growing and networking and all that. Just be
No, I think it is.
mindful.
I
Be
think it's.
mindful.
I think there's a problem when you're bringing problematic people.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I
and they
just said.
fight different ways. They're doing things differently and all that. I just don't like. I just don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. But,
Yeah, do your research on the previous environment that they came from. If you want to use the word sector or YouTube community, do your research on what happened over there. Do your research on the extent of the chaos that happened. I, is this someone that I want to network with? It's pretty much the same as when you hire someone. You, if you're an employer and you're bringing someone in, automatically you're taking a look at from whence they came, what's their background, who's vouching for them. I told a friend of mine was applying for a senior level federal position. So we're trying to get into what's called SCS, which is senior executive service in the federal government. And she asked me, she's like, I just need some advice to move up. Like I want to get up to that level. I just need some, can you give me some tips? And I said, well, I gave her a tip that's an old school tip that people don't do anymore. And this came from my mentor. I said, look, have people that you work for in the past write a personal letter. It's called a letter of recommendation. Write a personal letter to wherever it is you decided that you want to go. You bring letters of recommendation, and you want these to be at a high level. We're talking CEO, we're talking GS 15 and up. Uh, you want to come with letters of recommendation. Now, this doesn't happen these days. People don't do this. This is old, way back. This is what one of my mentors told me. He's old school. And so it's a valuable tip. And she eventually got to that level. She eventually got to where she was trying to accelerate to. And she thanked me. She said, those letters of recommendation that you told me to get, she said, that's how I beat out everybody else in the interview process. Was those letters of recommendation. I was the only one that had that. And that's how I got the position. I'm talking about a handwritten, not typed. Write a letter. Handwrite a letter or handwritten letter. Now you could type it if you want to, that's fine. But I told her to go old school. Type a handwritten letter of recommendation. And you should have at least 7. But if you can't get 7, then you need to at least have 3. And get 7, have at least 3, a minimum of 3. Um, and so she was able to land that position. But um, I'm saying all that to say, who are you recommended by? Who vouches for you? Who says that you're good? Right? I tell stories about how my grandfather, was his name was good. My grandfather always told me that as a man, your name should be good. Right? Another man should be able to say, "Oh, Sir King's good. It's good to go." I'm talking about a man of equal stature, right? A man that's respected. Someone who's respected can say, "Oh yeah, I can vouch for Sir King. He's good to go." That's how men should move. And so when you're looking to network with someone or to get into a mentorship with someone, uh, you want to look at who sends these people, who recommends you, who you recommended by, uh, because that speaks volumes. It speaks volumes.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. But
But at the same, go
what
ahead. Sorry.
your work got to speak for yourself because a lot of people like well, it's not the same thing. I guess you're right in a way about name dropping, like the name drop, but your work obviously it's got to speak for itself though. So
Yes,
pretty
sir.
much what I'm saying, don't expect nobody to write you a damn recommendation. You're a booger wolf. So you know what I'm saying? Uh, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. No one's going to write you a letter of recommendation if you don't have a reason
right.
to be recommended, right? And so, you want to ask for a mentor. You want to say, hey, this is the career field that I'm interested in, and I'm looking for a mentor. Now, these are old school things that people don't do anymore. These are way before my generation, way before your generation. But some of these things have value. There's a reason why they were successful in the past. Um,
I agree. I mean, especially with AI faking everything. Shit, you don't know what's a handwritten letter is the best way to go. To be honest, because
right. I
it's
mean,
from the source.
AI is pretty much, and I think YouTube's going to rethink their whole AI policy, probably come out with something new. But AI is completely taken over YouTube. There are so many channels that are 100% AI operated. They even have AI content creators. TikTok is really blowing up the AI content. So what I mean by AI content creator is there is no the person that runs the channel has created an AI personality,
Hmm.
right? A robotic software created person, and that person runs the channel. So let's just give it a name like Big Susie, and she's doing content on TikTok, and everybody thinks that they're dealing with Big Susie's just an AI generated person. The person behind it is some Indian that lives in a third world country, right? And you have no idea who, Big Susie's sister, a created entity. But that's what's happening on it's transferred from TikTok to YouTube. And you have people out here who are there's no such thing as these people. And they've got whole YouTube channels that are getting millions and millions of views. It's become a huge trend on YouTube with these AI operated channels, AI
Yeah.
personnel. Even the advertising. I saw an
Mhm.
advertisement today that I know, common sense to say that Oprah didn't co-sign $3,000, the $3,000 stimulus. There's no stimulus is going on now. I seen advertisements saying with Oprah talking, this AI generated Oprah talking saying, you need to sign up for this $3,000 stimulus package that Trump has just signed. It's the
Wow.
stuff is so rapid that YouTube can't keep up with it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you remember when people had their chats running and you saw an AI bot come in there and it transcribed your chat? You remember that? That-
Transcribed it.
So what happened was during your channel, there would be like
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah,
video
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
pop up and basically talk about what the people are talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that Sir King is talking about XYZ, Urban's talking about XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
about this and that. Da, 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 da. That was them training. That was beta training. Uh, YouTube's going to use a lot of. I sent you
Is
the
it
link.
still there?
No, they finished that training cycle. Right, that was
Wow. YP, remember we used to come in there, we were like, damn, it's breaking down everything. I was
yeah.
yeah, oh
It
wow.
was
Okay.
them training your AI model,
Wow.
right? And so that obviously that eliminates jobs, but they're trying to use AI to do a lot of the technical work. Like I sent you the link. How they're reducing their staff and replacing it with AI. Um, and so that's just the way of the future. But so now AI is doing a lot of stuff that humans were doing on YouTube. But when you open up that genie, when you pull that genie out of the bottle, it's hard to stop. There's so many AI generated channels that are putting out completely false information. Like what they'll do is they'll train the AI to scour the internet for whatever's popular right now. And then let's just say that LeBron got into an argument with another basketball player, right? And it went all over the press. AI model will jump on that story and it'll say, happening right now, LeBron just punched XYZ in the face.
Hmm.
Completely fake story.
Right.
But you'll see 300,000 views because it's a hot trending story. Like, oh, what? That guy LeBron got to arguing with, he just punched him in the face. They're training AI to recognize these trends and to capitalize on sensationalizing stuff. And this is all over YouTube. They're pretty much AI has destroyed YouTube.
Mm. Wow.
So they're gonna have to pull the genie out of the bottle. Well, excuse me, they're gonna have to put the genie back in the bottle.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but what did
So
you think about this whole Vegas thing, Sir King? What was your
which
assessment?
one? Which one?
The Vegas situation where the
I, to be honest with you, I recently
content
just saw.
creators attacked one
Yeah.
another.
Well, I just that's the thing. This is just going back to what I was saying about the president. It's like people think that they can say what they want to say. And I'm like, you can't because it's different. People feel just because I can say something like I'm online, I can say something to Urban, ain't gonna nothing gonna happen. And I'm like, how can y'all live by that notion when everybody could be touched? And
Mhm.
then that's the thing I have with Jay Wilson. Like he gonna start somehow, some way. He keeps baiting people. The law is for the lawless. The law is for the lawless. And I'm like, bro, hey, everybody don't respect the law. And you gotta think about it takes time for the law to get there. And I'm just like, why you keep baiting these people? Like he keeps baiting these people. I feel like thinking that the police is gonna protect him. But moving on to your story about Las Vegas, I just felt like, yo, you hit from what I heard, they shut the man's channel and all this other stuff, and you baiting people to pull up and stuff like that. And when it happens, it happens. Like you have to be careful of the words you speak. It's basically what I want to sum up and say. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with you know, social media has a
Mm.
tendency to attract people that are dealing with various types of mental issues, particularly when it comes to addictive personality. This is what
Right.
this whole lawsuit is about, right? The lawsuit I was talking about at the beginning of your broadcast, where IG is being sued, saying you knew you specifically designed your social media platform to take advantage of people. You knew, right, that you were going to attract people with addictive personalities. You hired people to tune your platform so that people will get addicted once they start using it. And so, what happens is when you get these large volumes of people that are they're dealing with different types of mental issues, you're right. If you say something slick, like you were saying, I think you're the one that said something about putting a diaper on and driving across the country,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the NASA chick did, the news story about the NASA chick. So yeah, you never know. And not only that, people are barely. A lot of people go to social media because they can't get employment, so they're looking to monetize a platform.
Mm.
You take that monetization away from them. That was their last straw.
Yeah. Brixton says it's crazy. They did remind me of the beef sector, how they were going back and forth. Yeah.
Brixton, what's going on, Brixton, babe?
Right. And Brixton, it's not only that, you have to be careful who you engage with. A lot of people have issues. Right. And I just think he fails to take into account what people are going through and what they've gone through. And then you're sitting up there making fun of it. And,
Right.
you
Yeah, that
know,
content, I've seen that content he's doing over there with those two dudes.
yeah.
You know, he should be he. Here's the thing about Jay Wilson. This is a this is an educated man, right? Um, who also has had pastoral training.
Hmm.
So you have to ask yourself, where's his morality?
Money.
Right? Where's his he Jay Wilson reminds me of one of them dudes, back in the Middle Ages that sold a tonic that healed everything that was wrong with you.
Hmm.
They had their little stagecoach and held the tonic out and said, "Get your get your Versailles tonic, heals all whatever you got. You got a headache, you got pain. Well, in other words, I'm saying he'll sell anything for $1, but I think that he's gotten lazy because YouTube is an easy dollar for him. He's got some tenure. The only tenure Jay Z, what the heck did I say that? The only, the only tenure that Mr. Wilson has is YouTube. At his age, he should have tenure somewhere. At his age, he should be a lot further along. He sacrificed a lot because YouTube is an easy dollar, right? And so he'd rather antagonize these two dudes. I don't know. I don't watch these guys' content. I'm sounding like Jay Wilson. I don't watch these people, but I've seen little bits and glimpses of that stuff. That's what he does. He exploits people. But what I'm saying is, this is a educated man that's been to seminary. And where's your conscience? Where's your sense of
Yeah.
morality?
Right. That's the thing. The consciousness, the conviction, the morality, and the representation of the Lord. It's just like I don't
Well,
feel Castro. I don't feel Castro. That's their two names, Castro and Tommy. I don't feel they're a threat to Jay Wilson, but I
mhm,
feel someone like Brian, if he's not in his right mind, is. I say right mind because we don't. I mean, if Jay Wilson says the wrong thing,
right.
that might resonate deeply with Brian. So it's them kind of people. Like, it's like,
Well, if you got two people that are, are putting their hands on one another, which is what I understand is going on
yeah.
with that situation with these two characters, that issue should be backing away from. And that would be something that someone of his age, of his status, would automatically know. Just you don't. This is not something I'm going to touch because of the fact that they're physically abusing one another. Because if someone from their family goes up and pulls up a bunch of Jay Wilson videos,
Mm.
they can say, "Well, shoot, he was antagonizing them."
I put a community post about that. I say, you gonna be held responsible because you, well, I
Exactly.
said
Drag
partly
his butt,
responsible.
right into court.
Yeah, and he playing them against each other, you know, but bringing up stuff that he know will inflame the situation.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely setting himself up for some liability, big time, and he should be smart enough,
Yeah.
to
His defense is, "It's my show. It's just a show. It's entertainment. It's entertainment." But no, you have some culpable responsibility in that situation.
right. This is not entertainment. Other people's tragedy, other people's mental illness,
Mhm.
his perception of using that and exploiting that as entertainment. It's not entertainment, right? He's sounding like
For him, it is. He said, "You put it
he's
on
sounding like a
YouTube, we gonna talk about it." That's his mantra. You put it on
he's sounding like
YouTube,
a he's sounding like a Mona Scott Young, but he doesn't have stacks and a Webster's dictionary stack of paperwork. Tommy and whoever these two people are, they haven't signed a Webster's dictionary stack of paperwork, in reference to all types of
mm,
liability.
yeah,
These are just people that are randomly popping up on this platform. And like I said, if something happens, somebody gets hurt, yeah, the family could definitely say this guy was egging this stuff on. Uh, he should just be smarter than that, for sure. At his age, like he's just not. Like I was saying, that the B sector has definitely made him lazy. One thing, becoming a pastor is that you can garner support. That's why, sometimes I refer to it as Pastor King, because your audience is kind of like a congregation, right? And so Jay Wilson has used that element of social media over here in the B sector. For example,
mm,
he calls his moderators ushers, right? He'll break out into a praise song,
mm,
right? He incorporates all of that, exploiting the word of God. Look at how he named his channel. He already knew going in that this is going to be an advantage for me.
mhm.
So he went in already saying, "I'm going to call myself a pastor. This is going to give me a heightened level of position."
Yep.
And he's exploited it ever since the very beginning.
Sad, sad. Prayer clause, all that stuff. Prayer clause that they didn't even see his face. They got
Yeah,
sent straight to Vivian from FedEx. I was like, what? He didn't
and
even
just
pray over him.
right,
Oh,
and just like a lot of pastors, they'll support him until they pass away. Look at Bishop Eddie Long. People in this church supported him, right up until his final breath, and he lied right up until his final breath.
mm,
Um, but yeah, people will, and that's the exploitation there, because our people are generous. Well, we're naturally generous people. When people came from overseas to Africa, we were nice. I don't know if you ever get a chance to travel to Africa, they're very hospitable, right? My wife's African. Her family's they're just nice. They're just nice. You know what I mean? They're welcoming. They're nice. They're hospitable. They're generous. They're gracious. It's in our blood. It's in our DNA to be that way, and that's why you have so many of these mega pastors take advantage of that,
that's
um,
unfortunate.
and become multimillionaires. And a lot of them, I think, they don't even believe in God.
Mm.
They're just believing the dollar. They know it's the way to get to a dollar, a lot of dollars.
Yeah, but that must be the scariest day in their life to sit up there and know that does not give them. admittance or entry into the pearly gates.
Yeah. One day, one day you're going to have to just to have retribution. One day, the retribution is going to come for your behavior. It's not going to escape that retribution. It's coming. And Jay Wilson has had it continuously, right? He's losing jobs. He's losing jobs just to get out there and ask for money. But for him, he'd rather do that than right. So if something crazy happens in his life, he'll get online and say, "Oh, I need this and I need that," and his congregation will chip in. He's become entitled to that. When someone donates to you, you're not entitled to that money. But what happens is, our pastors, content creators will get entitled to that and be like, I deserve this money, even to the point of where they'll embarrass their subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't give me any money. I need money. I need this. I need that. And they'll demand it. You know, there's a profile, a mental health profile for people that spend a lot of time online. There's things that they're dealing with internally, and what you'll find is people exploiting that. Uh, they're exploiting that. But there's a real world out here. When you press that button and you enter into the magical land of the B sector, there's a real world going on. You might be able to escape. Some people, I feel like some people pretty much never turn the app off. Like they're always 1 foot in that mystical land.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Well, I
longer
think.
you the longer you do it, the more addictive it gets, and the more you start losing touch of reality. Because how many times have you seen people that are evicted, or their electric's being turned off, or they've got major health issues? Like all these things are happening is because they're withdrawn from real life.
Mm, well, I think some people's reality, at least this app may be better than some people's reality, to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that
Sadly, but.
people. Hmm. Yeah, there is success here.
Mm-hmm.
There's success on here, and this is where they get their appreciation, right? Because in this sector, you can be a celebrity here, right? You can be a B sector celebrity, a B sector top content creator here. Once you turn this app off, your mom yelling at you, your roommate, you know, eating everything in the refrigerator, uh, your job, you hate your job, or your lack of not having a job, you're struggling. Like the reality, is still there. Uh, so you see that struggle as you look at the various content creators here. You'll see that struggle where people are fighting that addiction and fighting that, you know, fantasy versus reality, and you see the chaos in their life, and you see how that becomes content, and that's how people make money. And that check, becomes a form of survival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brianna had to come back. So you can tell she's not inspired, but she come back because of the check.
Hmm.
Uh, she said, I don't know. And then she'll bully people to send her money. So, it's
Mhm.
interesting. You know,
Yeah. So I hear tell about boxing match.
whole boxing match.
The Lemon supposedly boxing one of the guys that he brought into the B sector, and that he's no longer friends with.
Who's that? Everybody?
Um, Resto. His name's Resto.
How's that going to happen when Russell's all the way in Asia somewhere?
Apparently, he's
They talk.
coming
They
back to the U.S.
just, yeah.
He's supposed to be on his way back to the United States. So there's supposed to be a battle in a gym, kind of like Aiden Ross is a streamer. Aiden Ross is a famous streamer, kind of like Kai Cenat.
Hmm.
Aiden Ross started a streaming boxing league where streamers will, or trending content creators can fight one another. So they're kind of
Well,
fun.
are you allowed to bring liquor bottles and play some gloves? I'm just saying.
I'm surprised you didn't know about this. Yeah,
I
there's
know
some.
why. After the way he disrespected me, oh hell no. I
Yeah,
get my.
I have the last time I was on his channel was when he was rude to me when I was on my way to work that morning. That's the last time I've been on his channel. I get bits and pieces of information. People send me clips.
Yeah.
Ever since the pandemic, people been
Hmm.
sending clips and stuff. But
That's how I stay informed too. But I'm like, no, I don't. I don't. Mm-mm. I don't support that.
yeah, so I don't know. You got money on somebody? Who you got to win?
Well, it's a lot of analysis I have to do on Resto. I got to see what's his height, what's his weight, and
Uh,
then all that, and then I'll make a decision.
well, if they pull it off, obviously it's going to be big numbers if they can pull it
Oh,
off.
of course, yeah, of course. I guarantee there's be a lot of because that's what um, IHOP lady was trying to do, but she was trying to do it with the other sectors,
Hmm.
and it fell through because everybody had it. It was just starting getting weird. People like trying to do this and that. It just got weird.
Hmm.
Um, but that seen from the response, that's what other people were looking. A lot of people looking forward to something like that. So they're able to pull it off. I don't think it's difficult to pull it off as long as you eliminate the characters. If it's him, Lemon, Resto, and somebody that can video it, and you find a gem that'll give you access, you good to go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. That's what they're doing. They're looking. They've got gym options, and they're gonna bang it out.
Well, Rocky, I think Resto will have to go to California because I don't think Lemon gonna take no more trips nowhere. I really don't. I don't. I really don't. I really honestly feel he won't take no more trips. That's how I feel. So,
Yeah, probably not a good idea to when you're threatening people online.
oh yeah. Hmm.
As you
Hmm.
know, people are
And
going to they're going to pull up.
the,
They're going to challenge
the,
one.
and the thing is, he says so many things to so many people that he can't keep track.
Right. Yeah.
That's the concern. So,
Yeah. That is true. So yeah, it probably wouldn't be wise to move outside of what you're familiar with because there's probably a lot of people gunning. Like for example, if they were able to lure him to Texas or lure him to, there's so many people that are in play. This platform's so open that there's so much
mm,
play going on, right? And so I could see somebody luring him to another area and the fix already being in to film it, right? So the boxing match goes down, and then after the boxing match, a bunch of people run up on him and attack him and film it and put it online, and becomes a whole
mhm,
thing. The sectors are
right.
watching. You got these
Exactly.
sectors over here now. Uh,
Exactly.
or now you've got there's a bunch of different ones, but I guess the top ones over here now would be the T sector, the black T sector. The black sector is pretty much integrated into the B sectors, and you got the Umar, what they call the Umar sector, which they called themselves the DA sector before, but they were here during the pandemic. Most people don't know that they were here. I was aware of them in people's chats.
Mm,
The sector, as they called themselves back then, uh, they were in people's chats. They were in your chat.
I'm sure.
People from that sector that were in your chat back during the pandemic. Um, so yeah, making him content because he's the so cloud is the new currency, right?
I
It's amazing
guess.
how that works. So like digital currency,
Mm,
cloud is currency,
guess so.
and so he's got clout, and so you have to look at people laughing at you or people laughing with you, and people will build you up to bring you down. Like I've seen, like look how popular Firebird was,
mm,
and then look how everyone started attacking her
mhm,
out of the blue because she was at the top. Her name was trending. She's at the top of the pile, right? And so everyone started attacking her, and all this chaos ensued. And look at how it affected her real life. And you see this repetitive cycle happening in the beef sector, right? So him being the main person issuing out clout, he's the talk. All the talk is about him, and so that leads to all the other sectors and everyone trying to get clout from him.
mhm,
Content creators that they've been trying to get monetized for years, for 10, 15, 20 years, going on his channel, sitting up on his panel,
right.
and
Mhm,
voila, get monetized. But a lot of that is going on. But yeah, the cloud is currency. So that can lead to delusions of grandeur, that thinking that people love you. This happens in celebrity culture.
mhm,
The fans don't love you. These people don't love you. Fans is a short word for what word?
fanatic.
Exactly. And so you always have to keep that in the forefront of your mind, that these people don't love you. And your fall is much more profitable than your rise.
Mhm,
When a major celebrity falls down, a lot of money is made. The scandal, right? It's way more profitable. And everybody, all the vultures start circling around and eating off that.
no, I agree. Always, especially when it's just a new opportunity.
Yeah. So what do you we talked about the Vegas situation. My assessment of the Vegas situation, like I was saying, there's a lot of these types of sectors now.
Mhm,
And because social media attracts so much mental illness, that stuff like that is bound to happen. But something I wanted to point out, I think it was the day before the incident happened, I told you on your platform that YouTube has been able to escape the whole somebody being taken out live on their platform, like all the other platforms. YouTube has been able to escape that. I think I said that the day before, the
I
day,
think, yeah.
and then the very next day that happened. But I said that it's coming. It's
Mhm,
YouTube's about to get a taste of that, and like the very next day, it happened. But as you notice, YouTube didn't say anything.
mm,
There was no statement, no press conference. They didn't say a word about it. Uh, it's the great beast. It's all about the money machine, the money machine. Uh, unless the government steps in, you know, then they're
mhm.
just going to make the money.
Which is sad, but that's the way they roll.
Yeah. So looking at all the new players in the sector, uh, I use the term sector breakers, Death
Mhm.
Star sectors. But looking at the landscape right now, do you see do you see the emergence of a lot more characters and a complete transformation? Because if you go back to when we were hanging out during the pandemic, you couldn't. I envisioned this and I talked about it, but most people didn't envision where the sector is now. Do you think that it can survive at its current trajectory?
Mm, can it survive its current trajectory?
With the type of content creators that are being introduced?
No, because they're not. Who's talented? Ain't one of them. I mean, okay, someone could rap. Okay, but ain't nobody like talent. We had talent like still have talent, but I don't see any talent on that side that's indicative of talent.
There's one guy, a rapper. I like him. His name's Audio.
Yeah, audio pop. Hmm.
He's actually a gifted performer and a gifted rapper. He actually has genuine
It's
talent.
it's
And
weird. It's weird. It's like you gotta have a mix. I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's just like we all have it. Some people coming in don't got it. They
Mhm.
used to come. They used to banging on each other like verbally, and that's just not how we roll. Like prime example, Ness will roast you, talk about you, dog you out. That's more of what this area is, rather than somebody just cursing you out. You know, and
you lost me on that. I did.
oh, so I mean, I'm gonna give you got Ness.
Uh,
And you got Jay Wilson. These are the people who will roast you in the process of making fun of you and then make a song on top of that. That's the comedic element that a lot of us will bring. I'll come
mm,
in, I'll make a clip on your ass, and then I'll be your ass and make you real mad because you can't strike it because it ain't you and all that stuff. But it's about you. So it's just we're missing that with these new people. They want to come in, they want to yell, they want to scream, they want to argue, they want to use derogatory terms. That's just not it. So that's not gonna last too long. Because then you asking Mama YouTube to come in and use the audio biters to get you. So I don't know. We'll see.
well,
We'll
yeah. I
see.
mean, right now, realistically speaking, if you were to pull up the YouTube community guidelines, you could pretty much quote the guideline and pop everybody's channel. The majority of the content creators, what they've done is, and I talked about this that back in the day that their policy changes were coming. It's going to be a lot easier to remove monetization, a lot easier to remove a channel for things like cyberbullying and things like that. Um,
Mhm.
right now, and even just talking disparagingly about people right now, you could, if somebody wanted to, they could kind of go down the line and just pop every channel. You got a team of people, just
Mhm.
start popping channels. So it's the sector's in a gray area, right? That they're allowed to
Yeah.
exist. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree with that, Bricks and Babe. There's some interesting people. There's definitely some interesting people. And I don't know if you were
No.
here earlier, Bricks and Babe, when I said I've seen people stealing some of Sir King's. I can tell that you've been studied, right? It's a logical thing if you're looking at somebody who's popular. Like I was saying, Lemon's popular. So what's his origin? Where he gets clout from? Where
Mhm.
go back and take a look at your old broadcasts, and you ran your show like a show, right? It was a late night show. You ran it
Right.
like, and there was no one else that was doing that. Not a single solitary content creator in the B sector was doing that. None. And that was your sauce, right? That that was unique to you. And so I can see where people have looked back on how you ran a broadcast and produced a show, and they're borrowing from that. Uh, I can definitely see the influence. But to
Oh,
go back to the original, to the original content creators. Go ahead, Sir Cam. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no, no. I was just listening to what you have to say. You know.
I was just gonna say, going back to the original content creators. I've said this before on your platform, but what was interesting about them is that it started with people that had a genuine interest in the entertainment business.
Mm.
They had a foot, like. Let me just give you an example, like the female rapper with the blonde hair.
Nicki Minaj.
No, 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 in the B sector, female
Oh,
rapper
Heidi.
Heidi Flyucci.
Mm.
Heidi Flyucci was I can't believe I forgot her name. Heidi Flyucci was a signed artist, not some bull crap. She was actually signed to a major label. She
Mm.
had a performance background. right? Duchess Kelly Love. I'm talking people that had a genuine link to the entertainment industry. Duchess
Right.
Kelly Love,
Mhm.
genuine link, well known. Duchess Kelly Love, his real name, remove the Duchess Kelly Love. He's known, radio stations, performers, singers for his music, for his talent, his natural God given talent in writing lyrics, writing songs, writing music, singing background. He's actually known. James Caldwell, right? Another person. He was on national TV. So as you go down the list and looking at these people, they all had a legitimate interest. Nicole Tyler, she was a performer. Nicole Tyler had music that's all across all platforms.
Mhm.
Uh, so as you go down the list, they all had a genuine interest in entertainment and had, a background in that. Where we are today, uh, it's a whole different. That has vanished, and now it's people that have learned about the fame, learned about the sector, and learned about you know the audience, right? The
Right.
loyal audience. You know that's what having an audience is what you need on social media, right? And BZR has a built-in audience. That's
Sure.
very generous. So they've learned about the audience, built-in audience. They've learned about the reputation, the fame, content creators that pass through here that are getting millions of views, and they let me in.
Mhm.
Let me in, like the poltergeist. uh, and voila, they are here.
We'll see how long. We'll see how long they stay, because the B sector will let you know when they're tired of you. So do
But
that.
the thing is that a lot of the old, well, when I say, I think that realistically speaking, nowadays the B sector is the audience. I think the old school content creators are kind of, I think it's kind of reached its,
It's Max.
mm, yeah. And I think, when you say beef sector, you're talking about the subscribers, you're talking about the audience. And so now it's a game
True.
of who can
Mhm.
control, who can move the crowd. It's really no different than the music business. Who can move the crowd? Who can, you know, um, and there's a thing that I've noticed that this has been a trend, but this is old. But TikTok has a habit of refreshing old things. Have you ever heard of something called destiny swapping?
No.
So destiny swapping is getting close to someone that has some success, right? And you're a perfect candidate for this thing. So you need to hear this. Getting close to someone who has some success, peeping them out. Man, this person intelligent, innovative. I need to get in there. I need to get close to them. So I want what they have. I want to be where they are. And what they do is they swap destiny. Get your audience. They get your clout. They get close to all the people around you, and they replace you. It's called
Hmm.
destiny.
Interesting.
They target you, and then they replace you. Now that has some roots also in the occult, the spells that people use. They're called destiny swapping spells. That's the real thing in the occult as well. People actually go to people and tell them, I want to replace this person. I want what they have. They curate these spells. But what I'm saying is integral for people to pay attention to. But today in social media industry, social media climate, these things are becoming more finely tuned. Uh, and I've seen musicians and artists who've destinies with
Hmm.
someone who's famous and on the rise, and all of a sudden another artist came in, and that old artist is gone. and they're on the rise.
Yeah.
Who took their position?
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Urban, I gotta get going here, but we'll definitely have to continue this conversation very soon.
Yeah, big dog. It was. I thought I would pop on and do a little bit of Avatar Nation reunion.
Well, I appreciate that very much. So I'm definitely gonna check out those links you recommended and see how I can use them.
Okay. All right. Shout out to the nation, everybody in the chat, and I'll pop it on you on another day, sir.
Oh, sure thing. And thank you for the wisdom. We appreciate it, Urban.
All right. Always a
All right.
pleasure.
Likewise. Take care.
All right. Ciao.
Okay. See you. All right, y'all. That's the one and only Urban Critic. It was great having him here. We talked about everything from Destiny swapping to Destiny Child. I'm just joking. But from Destiny swapping to politics to the B sector. So it was very interesting conversation. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you to the wonderful moderators in the chat. Thank you for everybody being an active participant. We go to sleeves. But with that being said, I got to go. Um, but with that being said, feel free to thumbs up the live. I will talk to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one. And thank you again for your engagement. Brixton, have a great day. YP, have a great day as well. Rico, make sure you don't sneeze on nobody. Okay, make sure you don't do that. We had Philly T in here earlier. I'll let you know your pleasure. 721. Thank you for stopping through. Let me see who else is in the house. I think I got everybody. If I didn't get you, please don't be upset. I'll definitely get you on the next one. So thank you. Let me just say this. Everyone has some interesting points. Oh, she says, SK, have you ever seen the movie The Skeleton to the Key? I think that's with Denzel Washington, but I think I'm about to check that out. Is that another one I should check out? I'll definitely check that out. Brixton Bay said it was a pleasure as always, Irvin. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so I'll have to check that out for the T. But all I want to say is, yeah, it's I know Irvin was saying that the OGs moved on, and maybe it ain't the same that way. But certain people are being used as a portal to introduce other people to us, even if they're not. How can I say it? In sync with the way we do things over here. So we'll be interested to see how everything going. But remember, peace is paramount. Make sure you cherish your peace and stay attuned to the news. Make sure your health as well. So take care of your health. With that being said, I'm out of here. Y'all take care. I'm gonna try to get some rest. And I will talk to y'all soon. Okay. See y'all later. Make sure y'all cover your ears because it's gonna be a loud outro. Bye, y'all.
Avatar Nation.